with us now. It's a little bit later than usual. That's because I have to watch Arsenal lose again. But we're here to talk about the Colts and not how bad Arsenal are. So joining me today, as always, the co-host and the brains of the show, Xavier. How's it going, bud?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing, Harrison?
Yeah, not too bad. Big shout out to today's sponsor, Northern Summit Clothing. You can get things like this hat, get t-shirts, jumpers. If you're with the custom design, it's great stuff. Go and check them out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Northern Summit Clothing. Message the guy who owns it. He'll help you out the best he can. Right, getting into today's show. Coming off a big win in Las Vegas, sort of we put it all on red and red came out top and we won big. Should we start with Kenny Moore and the greatest one-handed interception, one-handed play I've ever seen, never mind just interception?
Yeah. Kenny was doing his thing, man. He was week before he came up with that interception against Brandon Cooks. Now he comes back next game, does a good job of not being looked off by Derek Carr, dropping back into coverage, making that one-handed interception. He's balling out, man. He's balling out. That contract extension was definitely worth it.
And I didn't realize how big of a guy. Is it Darren Waller? I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
How big of a guy he actually is. He's like Mike Pittman sizes,
He's huge, dude. He is massive.
And what was actually really interesting is, Kenny Moore just before the snap, if you watch him specifically, and this is what makes a good player great, is he reads what Carr's doing. He sort of can see what's coming, and he realizes, I'm going to have to drop back. And you see his head twitch behind him, just has a little look over the shoulder and think, I've got a feeling I know where this is going. And he trusted his instinct. And, I've got a question for you. When you're a player of Kenny Moore's standard, and he might have got a different call to what he actually did. Let's say it was cover 3 or something. He could have been that covering that flat, that underneath route, but he sort of checked out of that himself, dropped back into a deep coverage and got the pick. Do you do that much as a player, or do you trust coach?
It just depends on the scenario, man. Whenever you're a player like Kenny Moore, like you were saying, you're going to make reads that other people won't see. You're going to do things that other people won't because you know where everyone's going to be on the field. That's what good players do. And you know your job and you know what you can do extra other than your job that can help your team. And that's something Kenny Moore did recognize on that play. He saw Darren Waller take off on this streak. He didn't even see where he went, but he knew he was going to go back post because no one was there. And so he just drops back to that zone and makes that play. That was excellent job from him. That was good recognition.
Yeah. It seems like we are firing. Well, definitely in that game, we fired on all 3 cylinders of defense was better. I still get annoyed with my Eberflus. I think me and him are just not going to agree on certain things. Even if we do win the Lombardi, everyone's got that guy. But the offense, especially we ran the read option with Trey Burton earlier in the year. We've run the read option with Jacoby Brissett. Now we're running the read option with Nyheim Hines and Jay Taylor, I think it was. A lot of people have been calling Frank Reich out for his play calling. Do you feel like he's sandbagging where he's letting a little bit go at a time, trying to save their plays for further down the line?
Yeah, I think all good coaches do that in the NFL, especially nowadays. Don't matter who it is. Belichick was literally notoriously known for this. Like once he got to the playoffs, like pretty much everything he'd done the whole year was just thrown out. Just thrown out. He's doing something else. And that's something I love to see because Frank Reich 5 weeks ago is not running the same scheme he is right now. It's completely different. A lot different looks. Like he's still getting creative, like with the read options you were talking about with Hines and Taylor and stuff like that. But other than that, we're seeing a lot more mid range throws, I should say. Less of the crossers, stuff like that. We're seeing a lot more of the running game. I think he really starting to bring out them creative runs he's had in his back pocket. We're seeing a lot more from him, and I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Again, Jonathan Taylor, past couple of games has been fantastic, especially this last game against the Raiders. He turned on the afterburners and left them all for dead, and it was a great touchdown for him, a great confidence booster for him. You know, a lot of people were starting to question, is he the guy? And without a doubt, he could go on to a 1,000-yard season in his rookie year when he hasn't been getting most of the carries. Do people need to start putting respect on that guy's name?
It's looking that way, man. The last couple games, actually 3 or 4 games, he's looked really good. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time whenever he was playing bad, he got benched. Wilkins came in. Wilkins did a good job. And then after the game, Frank Reich was talking about, he had an ankle injury, and I didn't know about it. I don't know if you remember that. And that's the last thing. It's kind of weird that his coach was the last one to know about that, but he might have been nursing an ankle injury since the start of the season. He's starting to heal up now. He's starting to look more explosive. I mean, the last 3 weeks, he's looked like undoubtedly the best running back on our roster. And before that, he didn't. So, maybe he was dealing with an ankle injury. He just wasn't telling people. He's trying to troop it out. Marlon Mack went down, warrior mentality. Whatever it is, he's playing great now. So I'm really excited for the rest of the season to see how he plays.
A player who I was, there's been multiple in that Vegas game who I was impressed with. But a player who I was really impressed with was T.Y. Hilton. Yet again, showing his leadership, why he's a captain, why he's T.Y. Hilton, having a fantastic game. And the only way to stop him was to wrap his arms before the ball was even within 10 yards of him. I don't know if you remember that play and just how it wasn't a pass interference. But then again, a couple of plays later, sort of the same play, he got his in for a touchdown and it was a good throw by Rivers. But this Colts team, we're starting to heat up, aren't we? We're starting to heat up at the right time of the year.
Yeah, we're getting down to this stretch. We're starting to, like you said, we're starting to look really good. I mean, we're starting to fire on all cylinders. Our defense hasn't played exactly how I've wanted them to. Wish they would have continued with that kind of shutout dominance. But then again, we have played against Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is undoubtedly the 4th best quarterback in this league. And he might play on a poverty franchise. I get that. But, hey, you can't beat – it's hard to knock talent. It's the old phrase. And, he plays great week in and week out.
That is true. So, did you see any battles in the trenches against Vegas what you didn't like the look of, or who had a good game, or who went unnoticed?
Yeah. Grover Stewart was whooping Rodney Hudson pretty much the whole game. I was really hyped to see that because Rodney Hudson last year was considered the quote-unquote best center in the league. I tend to agree he was really talented last year, but no one really gave Ryan Kelly his respect last year either. He was really good. And I'm always going to kind of, err on the side of my boys from the Colts. But Grover Stewart was just killing him the whole game. Every rep I saw against him, I went and watched that game 2 or 3 times on film. Every rep he was just killing him. Trent Brown, that right tackle they got, he's supposed to be really talented. Tyquan Lewis was whooping him. Their offensive line, they were doing a good job protecting Carr, or a fairly good job. But in the run game, they were just getting absolutely dominated. Josh Jacobs was under 4 yards a carry. You can't win with that formula. You can't put it all on Derek Carr's shoulders to beat this defense.
Yeah. Interesting you talk about Derek Carr. Now, I was watching that game, and when I was a bit more relaxed in the second half when we started running away with it, I was watching Derek Carr and John Gruden a lot more closely than I usually would, just out of interest. And it seemed to me Derek Carr was just not happy with the play calling. obviously there was no handbags or fireworks. You're never going to get that from a professional. He's never going to question his coaching public in front of millions on TV. But you see now with Philip Rivers clicking, we're starting to click. Beginning of the year, we had these problems. We're starting to click. With the Raiders, Carr's been there a long time. Does he need to move on?
That's a good question, especially after just seeing how Mariota stepped up and played this week. I don't know if you saw that game. He played pretty well, a pretty good game. And if Carr sits out the rest of the season and Mariota does play well, I don't know if he'll get re-signed this offseason. Not really sure. And if he doesn't, hey, I wouldn't be mad picking up Derek Carr. He's mobile. He's a good – this year he's played fantastic. I really think they're going to re-sign him. I don't think they're going to let Derek Carr walk. I think he's too talented of a player, but still yet, if they do let him walk, hey, I'm all for it. I'll take him over here in Indianapolis.
And he also has fantastic eyes, which I kept getting lost in. Maybe that's what attracted Kenny Moore to that play. Very nice. But interesting you say you'd have him here in Indianapolis. Does that mean you're out, the jury's out on Philip Rivers next year?
I wouldn't say that. I would definitely re-sign Philip Rivers unless we can't upgrade. I'm always, as much as Philip Rivers has, I guess, impressed me this year with how well he's done because he's played above my expectations. I expected us to come in here and just be able to dominate everyone in the run game. Well, we signed Philip Rivers. People literally start stacking the box 2.5 times more than last year. They're like, all right, we're going to make Philip Rivers beat us. Well, Philip Rivers is beating teams now. So, hey, shit, if he keeps playing like that, come on back. But if we could get a Matthew Stafford, we can get a Derek Carr. If we could get somebody like that, it's hard for me to just be like, all right, let's re-sign Philip.
Yeah. This is, I don't want to be, let's keep looking at the past and what could have happened. But this team deserves Andrew Luck, does it not?
Oh, man. You said it, dude. You said it.
When he did, retire, fair play to him. I fully support him in the choice that he made. Family always comes first. And if he went through this season, he might have took a hit what did him permanent damage. So I fully respect that. But this team with Andrew Luck wins the Super Bowl hands down without even, I wouldn't even blink throughout the season. But now we've got Rivers. It's a different story. And really on the day, I think we can get past anyone. It's still going to be a fight to get in the playoffs, especially with the Titans and Vrabels, doing their thing, and they seem to be a pretty good team right now. Obviously, we split with the Titans over the year, and I think that just is a testament to how good both teams are and how competitive the division is. But realistically first, and then optimistically, where's this season ending?
Realistically, I would say we're probably going to go 11-5, make the playoffs, maybe be the number. It's a toss-up right now because I know for a fact the Titans are going to lose to Green Bay. I would almost bet my life on it. But I don't know if they're going to completely win out because they got to play the Raiders too. And the Raiders, the issue that Tennessee has had this year, it's not been can they score. We all know that. On the Raiders' defense, they're going to score. But their defense is just bad. Their defense is awful. So, will the Raiders be able to win in the shootout? We don't know. So if they lost both them games, hey, we could possibly walk in there with the number 1 seed. I guess the biggest thing is, if I'm going to be realistic about it, we're going to go 11-5. We're probably going to lose to the Steelers at the end of the season. We're going to win our first week in the playoffs, and then once we play either Kansas City or the Steelers again, we could probably lose. Now, if we play the Steelers twice, it's hard to beat a team twice. We could win that game. But optimistically, this is a team that is really well-rounded. If we're talking about ceilings, optimistically, we can win the Super Bowl. This is just how this team is. It's how they're designed. we got depth at every position from guard, from D tackle to D end. TJ Carey's played well this year. We got linebacker depth. Just everywhere you look, we got depth. We got a well-rounded team, and optimistically, I'm really happy to see what this team can do in the playoffs this year.
And I think part of that has got to go to the culture, pun intended to say, with what Philip Rivers brings as a leader. I'm a fan of the trash talk, the constant giving it all that to the sideline, willing to bring people into the fight, because he's a clever quarterback. That's who Philip Rivers is. So he knows if he gives number 99 a load of grief, he knows, that guy's going to blitz me next play and try and hit me hard. So I'm just going to throw it out to Taylor and see you later. So it's about striking that balance between the cockiness of Philip Rivers and then the humbleness of T.Y. Hilton as a leader on the offense, and then the humbleness of Darius Leonard and the absolute monstrous, Justin Houston, DeForest Buckner, that animal mentality. Not so long ago, the Colts were in a bad place. Andrew Luck was in Europe over here having surgery. We didn't really have a quarterback to say. It was just a 40-year-old veteran who was probably past his best 10 years before that. But now you look at the strides the team has made, and the culture that's becoming the Indianapolis Colts. Is that Jim Irsay as an owner? Is that Chris Ballard as a GM? Is that Frank as a coach? Or is it all three?
Yeah, I would say it's all three. Jim Irsay, unlike Jerry Jones, unlike all these other people, he didn't sit back and say, all right, I'm going to be blindly loyal to people that aren't doing anything. Gettleman, that dude looked like he should be a loan shark or something. Dude had no business being a GM. He looked like he should sit outside bars and mug people or something, man. I don't know. And then every decision he made, the only draft pick I think he ever got that was anything, worth talking about was Ryan Kelly. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mo Alley Cox is one of his picks too. So that's two. But once we get Ballard in here, then you go Darius Leonard, Braden Smith. Every one of our linebackers we have right now are his picks. So all this depth we got: Anthony Walker, Bobby Okereke. The only person I could say that he hasn't done good with on a pick, Quentin Nelson as well. The only person I could say he hasn't done good with the pick on it, and this is debatable, it's Rock Ya-Sin. And Rock Ya-Sin has technically played grading out like above league average. So we play a cover two. He's not really someone that can get targeted too much, but we do see whenever we do give him a chance, he gets beat a little bit too often. So, I love Rock. I think he's a physical player on the edge. I just want him to get better in man coverage.
I fully agree. I think Rock is a great guy, and especially when he suplexed that player straight in 6 feet under the ground, it was amazing.
Tone setter.
It was like watching Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania or something. Putting Goldberg through a table, it was mad. But Rocky, you would say he's the weak link of the armor at the minute of the defense, but you'd also say he can make that play as well. You look at our cornerback room to say so far, and apart from Xavier, it's a reasonably rookie cornerback room, if that makes sense.
Very, very young. Other than Xavier Rhodes, yeah.
So I think he will learn. So that's about that's about what we have for the Raiders game. Moving on to a massive game tomorrow, division game. We really need the win. It proved last time we played these, it's not as easy as it looks. You can't just go in there expecting you win. You have to go out and earn your win.
Yeah, we got really lucky. Really lucky.
Really lucky.
Yeah.
The Texans, what should we be concerned with coming into this Texans game?
Somehow limiting Deshaun Watson. We got to keep him in the pocket. We should have had like 7 or 8 sacks on this dude. And the guy's like buttered up or some shit. He's just running away from people. Like, I don't know how he was getting away at the rate he was. Because, you get away 1 or twice. All right, cool. But he escaped like 6 sacks.
Yeah.
So we got to do something about that. We can't keep giving him lanes to get out of the pocket, scramble around, because he's like Aaron Rodgers. He's like Mahomes. Whenever you blitz him, whenever you get people in pressuring him, he gets out of the pocket. He can make a good decision on the run. He knows what he's doing out there. So that's the biggest thing I can really say. Their run game was horrible. Awful. I made a video on it. It's bad. So I'm not worried about that. Our front four will be able to take care of that completely. It's just getting to Deshaun Watson. Once we get him corralled back there, once we get pressure on him, we should win this game. On paper, we should win this game by 20 points.
Feeling confident.
Yeah. Realistically, their offensive line, other than one person, grades below a 60. Defensive line the same way, other than J.J. Watt, grades below a 60. Up front, we should be smashing these guys every play.
And now all the Texans O-line and D-line are definitely watching this video and they're thinking, I'm going to prove him wrong. Yeah, we get that many viewers. But no, it is an exciting game. And one person who does always shell out when we play the Texans is T.Y. Hilton. He just loves playing against the Texans for some reason. They don't know how to deal with him. I expect him to have a big game. The quarterback situation for the Colts, it's a weird one because you could say we have 2 halves of one amazing quarterback. Phillip Rivers and his decision making, and Jacoby Brissett and his running and his power and his ability to do other plays what the normal quarterback can't do. You said who you would like, but what do you see the Colts doing?
Realistically, we'll probably have Phillip Rivers back. If I'm going to be completely realistic about it, I don't see the Lions. The reason I said Matthew Stafford was because a week ago I wouldn't have said Matthew Stafford at all. Matthew Stafford is incredibly talented. He is easily one of the best quarterbacks in this league. He has been dragging the garbage Lions franchise around. Haven't won a playoff game since the 1960s. For years. Like a dead horse on his back.
Yeah.
And, one of the people in their organization said they were going to move on from Matthew Stafford. And so on Twitter one day, he was like number 1 trending. Everyone was talking about him. Like, oh, they're giving up on Matthew Stafford. I'm like, all right, you all want to give up on Matthew Stafford? We got money at the Colts. We got an absolute stud of a team. You bring him over here, put him in this franchise. We are a Super Bowl contender. Hands down. It's just, will they actually give up on Matthew Stafford? I don't know. Carson Wentz is a big risk. You'd have to give us draft capital before I understand that argument completely. You'd have to give us a 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick just for taking his contract because his contract is huge. Jalen Hurts is looking like a beast. I don't even know if Carson Wentz will start next year.
Yeah. Interesting one. I think Carson, if you're watching this, you're probably a nice guy, but I think you're a shy quarterback, in all honesty. We'll see how the Eagles do with Hurts. Do I believe that Carson Wentz was the problem at the Eagles? No. I don't like Doug Marrone, I want to say, the coach.
Peterson,
that's it. Doug Peterson. I think he's an awful coach. He might be good defensively, but we don't see much of that. Offensively, I'd say he's bang average, if not worse. So maybe Carson gets a different team. I don't think he fits into the Colts system. Philly, they have to get past the bump. So when a team gets a new quarterback or a big player, there's always a bounce in morale. There's always, it's like a new coach, a new GM coming in. There's always a bounce. There's always, this guy's got new ideas. This guy's got this guy's got that. And then all of a sudden it flattens out. You're seeing it now with Lamar and Baltimore. Last year, amazing, but now defenses have worked him out. It's how do we get past that bounce and make him the guy again? And I think the Colts have managed to do that in 1 or 2 weeks with Phillip Rivers. Okay, we lost on purpose to the Jacksonville Jaguars just so they wouldn't get Trevor Lawrence. That was a genius idea by Frank Reich. But we didn't play well on offense for the first 4 games, you could really say.
I agree.
But now you see what he does bring to the team. But also another guy who I know you like, is Sam Darnold. If anything, I think he ends up at the Patriots. But we could get him for a second and a third.
Yeah, I don't even think a second would take it. I think if they draft Trevor Lawrence, I don't think there's many teams other than, I don't know. We would be in competition with the Patriots. So yeah, I could see a second and third after thinking about that for a second. It just depends. If the Patriots aren't interested, you know how Belichick is. He's very selective about who he picks up. We could probably get him for a third. Realistically, we might be able to get him for a third. But that's my best case scenario. I'm always looking for the best deal. That's how I am, man. Just whatever we can get the cheapest, I'm good for it. But Sam Darnold, yeah, if we could get Sam Darnold under Frank Reich, we'd be set. We would be completely set. He's mobile. He's got accuracy. Even though his completion percentage is bad right now, his pressure percentage is even worse. So, whenever you can't throw in the pocket, you never get in a rhythm. Whenever you're a young quarterback being forced to move around the field and throw on the run, you're never going to hit that rhythm and you're never going to play good. That's just really how it works. We saw it with Ryan Tannehill in Miami. He leaves Miami where Adam Gase was coaching, he goes to the Titans and he's doing great. So I think we're seeing another case of that. And I think wherever Sam Darnold does end up, he's going to play great.
The Patriots are a team with quarterback problems. I'm glad we didn't go for Cam Newton. But at the time, the Patriots picked up Cam Newton. It didn't seem like a Belichick move at all. He's not a Belichick type player. He's got a personality. He's got daft haircuts. He comes in dodgy clothes. Do you see that as more of the GM went out and got Cam Newton overriding Bill Belichick, or do you think Bill Belichick actually saw something he liked about Newton?
I think they didn't know. I'm gonna be honest. I think they didn't know. I think that's why they gave him $1 million, just the base minimum contract.
Yeah.
I think they didn't know what they were getting, and now they figured out they got probably the worst quarterback in the league, possibly. At this point, he's playing pretty bad. It's my opinion. But yeah, I think the most infamous video I remember from Cam Newton was this dude in a locker room listening to gospel music, lifting weights. I don't know how you get hyped up listening to gospel, but that's probably one of the funniest memories I have of Cam Newton. Anytime someone brings him up, that's all I think of.
Yeah, he was good at one point. Okay, we've got a bit of time here, so coming up to the playoffs in the off season, realistically, I think we get through. I'd like to say we win the division, but with Tennessee looking this good, I think we're going to have to go through a wildcard play spot. I think we win our wildcard game, and then I think we struggle in the first game of the playoffs, which would be no dig on this team. I think this team has performed above expectation. So we're looking at a late first. We're going to be picking, I'd say, late 20s, maybe even like 30th pick or something like that. But what do you see us doing in the draft? Do you see Chris Ballard doing his thing and drafting out of the first round, or is this the time we need to take someone in the first round?
That's a good question. I've looked at a lot of different scenarios, like edge rushers, people like that. There's a guy from Texas that's really good. Kwity Paye's really good from Michigan, but I don't think we'll get him. I think he'll go a little bit too high. But the guy from Texas, Joseph Asai, he's really talented. He's physical on the edge, and he's got a lot of ceiling. He's got a high ceiling. That's the thing I do like about him. Of course, we could go left tackle. Costanzo, he's been injured. Hasn't looked the same. Played really well as of recently, but it would be good to get one and let him, learn under Costanzo for a year. He's an 11-year veteran. Can't hurt there. There's maybe one other area we could go, and that's corner, but I don't think there would be anyone in the first round that would be worth taking. I think the real talented guys will go early first, and then everyone else under that probably won't go until early third, late second, or something like that. So I think taking a corner first round would be I don't think that's possible, or would be a good pick at least.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think anybody ever knows what Chris Ballard's going to do with these draft picks. He seems to take one draft pick and turn it into 4 draft picks somehow. If you just look at some of the trades he's done in the past, which trade is it? I can't remember. Oh, that was it. The whole Sam Darnold, the Jets traded up. They got Sam Darnold. We turned it into Quentin Nelson and other players. And bearing in mind, Chris Ballard got ridiculed for taking Quentin Nelson in the first round. Got laughed at. Took Darius Leonard in the second, I want to say, or it might have been a bit later. And everyone, the worst draft pick ever, apparently, according to the experts.
I saw a lot of people grade that as an F pick, man.
Yeah. Does this just prove that there's a reason Chris Ballard's being paid billions of dollars to be that guy, and we're sat here talking about it?
Oh, yeah. Hey, he's proved himself. Just with what he's done, I need to see no more. Chris Ballard could sit here and say he's going to take somebody that's projected to go undrafted with the first round pick. I'd be like, all right, dude, you got it. I got full faith in you, man. I know what you're going to get. I know they're going to progress. It's just a matter of, all GMs are going to make bad picks. That's just really how it works. It's just, can you limit the bad picks you get and maximize the most out of the good picks you do get? And so far, he's done that completely with everyone he's got, from our linebacker core to our offensive line. Braden Smith right now is probably going to be all pro. He's considered one of the top 2 tackles in the league at the right tackle position. So that's really, he's done a fantastic job in my eyes.
There is one quarterback. Now, I think he would be a bit of a expensive one to get, but I love him. It's Baker Mayfield. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. He has the personality. We'd have to give up a lot to get him, I would imagine, because the Browns like where they are, and why not? I think they're 9-3 at the minute, or 9-4 or something like that. But I had an interesting conversation with Gary, my Russian Fumble co-host, and other guys on our podcast on Spotify. And that was, would we be talking about Baker Mayfield in the same light as Sam Darnold if the roles were reversed? I think we all come to the conclusion that you can't judge anyone in being that Jets team. What do you think about that situation? Because the Browns took Mayfield over Darnold, although Darnold was projected to go first. Was it?
Yeah. The Browns took Baker, and then the Jets took Darnold.
Yeah.
That's a hard question. I think, like you said, anyone that goes to that team, it was going to not succeed. And I think it's all because of Adam Gase. I think Adam Gase, his opportunities are done. After Miami, a lot of people said he's the worst coach in the league. Why are you rehiring him? The Jets said, fuck it, dude. We've been in poverty long enough. Yeah, come on. We'll go a couple more years.
We had a couple of wins last year, so we want 0 wins this year.
Yeah. And it's just the same things played out. The quarterbacks played horrible, like Ryan Tannehill. Now, if Sam Darnold does go to another team, and he succeeds, whenever quarterbacks play for a bad coach and play bad, and they go to a good team and play well, I'm just going to call it the Gase effect. From now on, it's called the Gase effect. Just with how Tannehill has played since he's arrived in Tennessee is just mind-boggling to me because I thought Tannehill was a bum. After I watched him in Miami, I was like, all right, Tannehill, I was happy he went to Tennessee. I was like, hell yeah, they just got Tannehill. Like, they're going to be bad for a while now. And then they go and get him, and he starts playing great. I was like, man, we can't get any luck in the AFC South. Now we got Deshaun Watson, Tannehill, and then now we're about to be playing against either Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. So that's another reason I do want to upgrade my quarterback as well, just since we're on the topic. Phillip Rivers, like you said, I love Phillip Rivers, his moxie, the way he plays the game, the way he reads the field is something I do love as well because he does really good adjustments, bringing people into the pocket, shifting them around the field, creating mismatches and stuff like that. That's something he does at an elite level, and I love that. Mm-hmm. But if we could just have a quarterback that could truly stretch the field, someone that's going to fit a ball into one of them 4x4 windows, 35, 40 yards down the field, that would be so good, especially playing against guys like Deshaun Watson, who I don't think the Texans will be good for a couple of years anyways, but Tannehill and, about to be Justin Fields, coached by another of the Gruden brothers down there in Jacksonville. So, I'll get off Phillip Rivers. I feel like I hate on him a little too much because I really do like Phillip Rivers, but people put me in these, these situations. They're like, I get a lot of flack on it on YouTube. Like, what do you think about Phillip Rivers? And I'm like, he's good. He's a Hall of Famer, hands down. His arm is just limited. Well, they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they start fucking copy and pasting every stat he has on Google, throwing it under there.
You always have them people. There's always going to be people that pick a fight with you, no matter what you say. People just like to play devil's advocate. I would say someone who I'd especially like to see get a chance is Jacob Eason. Nothing but praise for him coming out of training camp and, tweets and stuff. Everyone's saying he can make every throw on the field. He just has to learn how to make it. He's got the power to. And not just the power of his arm, but the velocity of which he throws the ball it can really beat that second level of defenders, that linebacker who's sitting in a Tampa 2 maybe. The velocity he throws the ball can really rip past that defender and give him no chance. Do you think we might go with this guy pre-season, see if he has the game to step up to the NFL, or do you think he's just sort of draft capital trade player?
Yeah, that was an issue this year because I really wanted preseason just to see Jacob Eason, strictly. And when we didn't get it, that's kind of what I have to call him now. And I hate saying that. I hate looking at a guy that literally has the second strongest arm in the league. He's been clocked, velocity and everything. Behind Josh Allen, Jacob Eason is that guy right now. He throws at 63 miles per hour. Josh Allen throws at 64. Mm-hmm. So they got absolute cannons. Eason has it's undeniable. His arm is huge. It would just be so good to see him for 4 straight games just performing, just these kind of, I would call them simulations. No one's going full speed. No one's really doing anything, but you being able to read at literally 3/4 the speed of the NFL, hey, that's great because it's faster than college and it's not exactly the regular season yet.
Yeah. And what do you see happening to Jacoby Brissett? I like the guy. Great team player, does his job when he's needed, and he's happy to do that, which is nice to see. You see a lot of guys would sulk about that, whinge, tweet stuff, and make the locker room a bad place, but he's happy. He's happy to be that guy. But does he stay that guy? You know, obviously he's going to have to take a very, very team-friendly deal if he wants to be back up.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think he's going to go be a backup somewhere else. I think that's just how it's going to go. Someone might take a shot at him. I know the 49ers are pretty unhappy with Garoppolo. He's been injured a lot, and I know he can be a good player at times, but he can also be pretty bad. Maybe Brissett goes to the 49ers and plays a little bit, something like that. I just don't know. I think he had his chance and he blew it. To be honest with you, he had his chance. He had his opportunity to be great, and he just he stunk it up. That's really all I can say about it. He didn't, or I wouldn't say stunk it up. I mean, he wasn't detrimental, but he just wasn't helping the team. He wasn't making us win games. That's the bottom line about it. It's great having him come in and be an energy guy and get 4 yards on the sneak. Yeah, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, we need people that's going to win us games and not cost us $25 million to sit on the sideline and look at an iPad the whole game.
Especially with the cap limit reducing next year, I believe it is. It's going to be a hard one to work out. I have all faith that the Colts will work it out. Because we just seem like a good place to be. I mean, you can't say that we won't go far into the playoffs because you've seen it. We can beat any team on the day, especially you look at the Packers game. But then we can also lose to any team on a day. You look at the Jags game. So as long as the Colts team that beat the Packers turn up rather than the Colts team that lost to the Jags, we are a hard team to beat.
Yeah. Well, when you was talking about, I'm gonna actually go back to a couple things you said.
Yeah.
First, the Baker Mayfield thing. I really don't root for people to lose, but this year I was hoping Baker Mayfield played bad just so he could come to the Colts and play with Frank Reich. Because at first I thought Stefanski wasn't a very good coach when they hired him. From what I've heard about him, stuff like that, a little bit of what I've seen, I just didn't think Stefanski was that guy. But apparently he is, and that's great. Now I'm kind of happy seeing Baker Mayfield play as well as he is because he is really one of the best competitors, if not the best competitor in this league. He loves to win. There's nothing more than what he wants. He wakes up every day, eats, breathes, and sleeps football. But then another thing you was talking about, that cap room going down. I really don't talk about this much because a lot of people I would catch flack, especially in Colts camp, dude. I know I'd catch flack for what I was going to say. But I don't think we're getting Marlon Mack back. That's just me being realistic. I don't think he comes back. T.Y. Hilton, unless he absolutely balls out these last couple of games as well, I don't think he's coming back either. As much as I love T.Y. too, dude's easily been my favorite receiver in the league for years. I mean, years now. But if we're talking about being competitive, we see what blind faith in players that win you games get you that are getting older. We see that at the Eagles. They paid everyone from that Super Bowl team. They're now in cap space hell, and they're playing shit. That's just the bottom line of it. See the same thing with teams like the Cowboys as well. Jerry Jones, blind faith. You got to just appreciate the players, and whenever their time's done, they're done. That's how you got to be about it. And I hate that it's like that now, but advanced analytics tells us you keep holding on to players, the worse your team's going to be.
Yeah. All of Indianapolis, we love T.Y. Amazing guy, but I do agree. I would rather see him go out on a high, like at the end of this season, than like what's happening to Frank Gore at the New York Jets. It's, I don't want anyone taking T.Y. Hilton because I feel like he's earned his Ring of Honor, is it called? The little ceremony they have where the name was. I feel like he's earned that.
Yeah.
There was, I think it was 2016. He had more yards than anyone in the league, and it still went unnoticed. Just look at the catches he can make. He demands triple coverage wherever he goes. So, although I'd love to have T.Y. Hilton back, I think we sort of thought, even this year, Colts fans were thinking, do we take him back or do we just let him go back down to Florida where he's from, have a bit of fun, maybe go and coach one of his son's teams or something? Because, yeah, love the guy, but you got to be ruthless when it comes to football, you know. And another one, Marlon Mack. Love Marlon Mack for what he's done for the Colts, and I think he's paved the way that you could say we were struggling in before Marlon Mack in that running back era, and you know, so another one who I think, yeah, he's been great, but his time has come. No fault of his own, you know. Even at the end of this year, I think we have to get rid of him. We have to put faith in the Rooks. You know, that's just, you have to be ruthless, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't sign Jonathan Taylor just to be a backup, or split carries with Marlon Mack. Jonathan Taylor is one of the most athletically gifted running backs in this league. You don't do that. That's not what you do in the NFL, especially someone like Ballard understands that. Ballard didn't draft this team to just sit here and re-sign all these players that really aren't going to do anything for us in 2 years. He drafted this team because he's going to sign Quentin Nelson that big contract. He's going to sign Darius Leonard that big contract. He's going to sign Pittman to that big contract. He's going to sign maybe Paris Campbell if he gets healthy to that big contract. Hines will probably get a decent contract as well. I like what he does. I don't think Hines will demand a bunch of money, but it's to be seen. He could. Of course, Grover Stewart got that big extension. DeForest Buckner got that big extension. Justin Houston's been making good money. That's another person. I don't think Justin Houston will be back after this year.
Yeah.
I think he's played great. I think he does. I don't know. That's a touchy subject. I was thinking about that the other day. I was writing down the possibilities of how Justin Houston will be back. And if we draft the edge rusher, I think we keep Denico Autry at a much cheaper contract and then draft this edge rusher, bring him in, and hopefully he'll replace he'll replace him really well, because Justin Houston's eating up like $13 million in cap space, and he's not playing the run very well. He's doing a good job on third down and stuff, but when we're talking about an all-around player, he's not that guy right now.
He's also old as well. People forget that he's an old player. I love the experience, the attitude, and the stuff that he's brought to players. And I think with him around this season, it certainly helped DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Autry. It's helped them guys to really evolve into the players what they are now. So I'd love, if he wants to stay in Indianapolis, if he wants to hang up his cleats, I'd love him to stay in the coaching staff in the back row and help the guys up front, like you see with Robert Mathis training the Rooks. It's quite nice to see. Another guy we need to talk about is Malik Hooker. Now, coming out of the draft, Malik Hooker was one of my favourite players. He was sort of what got me into watching players coming out of the draft rather than just knowing about them because of the Colts. But unfortunately for him, he's just been injury plagued. It's horrible to see. You don't wish it on anyone. Because you look when he is fit, he makes one-handed picks in the end zone against the Chargers. It's just unfortunate that he gets injured. So he's looking like another one who's going to be gone at the end of the year.
Yeah. I think this is the long shot. I was hoping that we would re-sign Malik Hooker on some kind of friendly deal, like a 1-year deal. They're like, all right, Malik, prove yourself.
Yeah.
Come back for a year, and we would slide him over to the strong safety.
Yeah.
Malik Hooker's 6'1". He's 215, 220 pounds. He's big. Malik Hooker's big. He's way bigger than Khari Willis. He's faster than Khari Willis. Khari Willis has been a really sound tackler this year, but Khari Willis is not Malik Hooker. I don't know. The Colts fans are telling me Malik Hooker's soft. He's scared to hit somebody. They're batshit crazy. They don't watch this dude. I've seen him tackle Derrick Henry one-on-one 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry down the sideline, he's got 25 yards already, and he just comes up out of nowhere and just smacks Derrick Henry out of bounds. Malik Hooker's a great player. He's a ball hawk as well, and having Julian Blackmon and Malik Hooker in the same secondary, that would be awesome. in any ways. Right now, Kari Willis is more of a guy that he's just an in the box guy. He doesn't play very good coverage. And then if we had both them guys back there, that would bolster our secondary. I would love seeing that. That's like a dream scenario. I don't think it happens. Like you said, with the cap restriction, I just don't see it happening. I really just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all I have. Is there anything you want to throw in?
No, not in particular.
Not in particular. Okay. So we've been talking for 50 minutes now. It's been the Colt Saturday show. Save your prediction for tomorrow's game.
I'm going to say Colts 34 to the Texans 24.
It's going to be a high score, you think? I'm going to go with the Colts 20. What do I think? I'm going to go the Colts 28 and the Texans 0. I think we're going to shut them out.
Okay, let's go.
You heard it here first. I think we should have, realistically, watching the Raiders game back, we should have really shut them out. It shouldn't have been as close as it was anyway. But yeah, I'm going in with optimism. We're shutting them out. Clip that now. We're winning the Super Bowl. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been the Colt Saturday show. Check us out on YouTube. Xavier, where can the loyal fans check you out?
You can see me on Twitter at I'm the HOA, no spaces. You can see me on YouTube at High Octane Analysis. That's High Octane ANALYSIS. Yeah, that's about it. I post content all the time, literally weekly, like 4 or 5 videos. Recently, I've been just getting 2 or 3 up, but usually I post 4 or 5, lots of analysis, stuff like that. If that interests you.
Go and give my co-host some love on Twitter and YouTube. Again, big shout out to the sponsor, Northern Summer Clothing. And in the famous words of Philip Rivers, New Cheppy going